Hello, everyone. Brett the Comic Novice here, and I can definitively say that the John Ridley Black Panther run has been a very odd experience, to say the least. Now, I am very novice in the Black Panther character. This is the first time I've read anything with Black Panther. My only experience and exposure to him is through the Marvel MCU movies. And so, with that being said, I can honestly say there's been some ups, some which I will say is the Tosin, the Black Panther that is getting his powers through the vibranium that lives in a culture that kind of has been shunned by most of Wakanda. I think that is so interesting. I hope that they delve into that more. And then, of course, you have the weird colonialness thing that, was only kind of used to introduce a brand new character to be, Black Panther's ally to some extent. And then you have the whole Tower of Babel in Batman similar storyline where, Black Panther is grabbing information on all of the Avengers and basically anybody can take this knowledge and now all the Avengers are basically useless for some extent. So, that being said, again, highs, lows, and then issue 15 is just ends with a whimper personally. And I'm kind of interested to find out what's going to happen in June of 2023 when they relaunch the title with a brand new creative team, because I feel as though that's what they've done with T'Challa is, basically, John Ridley kind of has hampered the creative outlook for not the outlook, but the creative future for Black Panther and has kind of handcuffed them to some extent because of where we leave off. We have at one point in time Namor coming in, and now he has been associated now with Black Panther and helping Wakanda. And then now T'Challa has been, uncitizenized by Wakanda and is now, no longer welcome there. He's been once a king, then now they are no longer the anyway, let's get into this. This is quite interesting because issue number 11 picks up with us kind of finding out eventually that Jay, whatever his name is, actually faked his own death. The person who died in issue number, I think, one is still with us. And he is actually the person behind everything. In fact, the other thing that I find quite odd about this is, and maybe I'm a novice about the whole thing, I'm now really intrigued to go and pick up at least 5 or so issues of Captain Marvel because her character is just off. Maybe this is just her character or whatnot, but it is just odd when we have Jay who basically decides to turn off the Wi-Fi or the internet to Wisconsin. She makes a smug remark about well, I guess nobody will be able to get cheese for a while. No, yeah, I think everything is going to run amok. There's going to be anarchy in Wisconsin. Jay is basically not responsible. He's claiming he's not responsible for any murders. He's killed nobody. But his actions, his secondary actions are going to be killing many, many people because the people of Wisconsin have no idea that it's not just the world outside around them. It is just the entire state. He has blood on his hands for that. Then we have Captain America basically calling this action not treasonous, but, I guess you could say that, but basically a terrorist or similar to terrorist. And, you have T'Challa who basically denies that this is terrorism. They're just, fighting for freedom. It's weird. That whole thing is just odd. And then later on, we have Captain Marvel with the former colonialist girlfriend, slave, or whatever chicks that were there. They're zapping people with, powers similar to hers, and she's more offended that they're doing it before she's doing it than that they have her power. So, like, again, I am so intrigued by Captain Marvel. I'm gonna have to go back to the dollar bin or whatever and pick up, like 5 consecutive issues or something like that. Because I don't think I'm in for, brand new issues. I'm not willing to pay $4 a piece for those. So that being said, that could be a future thing that's gonna be coming up. But the entire storyline with Jay faking his death to only hand over everything to T'Challa because he does love him, he does respect him, he wants him back as the king, not only king of Wakanda, but king of the world and eventually king of the universe because of, I guess, what happened in the previous run with Black Panther. Then, after T'Challa decides to kind of like reject everything and say, "No, I'm not with this. I'm not gonna take this. I'm not gonna be king of the world." Jay basically says, "Okay, well, off with, T'Challa's head." And it's not that he was able to, survive the whole thing or, get out of it or whatever. We find out that T'Challa, when was king, waved and smiled at somebody. And because that one person really, what took a specific exception to it and was just so proud that somebody would wave and say hi to him, as mighty as the king, he decides to, incinerate one of the executioners. And then because he knows that there's no way around being discovered, he, incinerates himself. It is so bizarre. Just, I don't know. I it was kind of a train wreck, but also kind of something that I felt kind of some pleasure in reading. I was kind of curious what's going to happen. And then because again we have some sort of Tower of Babel type of a situation with Black Panther, and all the Avengers powers are being stopped and they're defeated easily, then, the Black Panther, T'Challa, and a couple of other of the people from Wakanda decide to come and figure out to form a league to bring Jay to justice. Some sort of justice-like league where they aren't aware of the powers that are going to be used against them because T'Challa did not spy on these specific people because he either didn't think about them or he didn't know that they existed. So, we have this cover right here, which again, Alex Ross cover, very nice, fighting against the Avengers, which again is totally bizarre because here we have the Avengers easily defeated, and then they take, they're irked that T'Challa is trying to stop this, kind of evil dictatorship that he allowed his friend to easily take over because, Tower of Babel type of a thing. So they all ground all of the ships, and there is a back and forth between both T'Challa and Steve Rogers, which again, in context does make sense, but also, whatever, whatever. Long story short, we end with Namor basically coming to his aid, saying, we fought against each other. I fight for you today. We are not enemies. Where quickly in the next issue, T'Challa basically says, "We're not enemies," and just starts trying to beat the crap out of him and murder him right there in front of everybody. Where he's quickly told, "No, you are not going to murder him. You are going to allow him. You're going to step down. You're now uncitizen of Wakanda. He is going to help us." And Namor totally loves this entire thing. They basically, long story short, take back control from Jay, where Jay basically says, "I know exactly all the moves that you're going to do. Now you're going to have to off me," like on page 2 or 3. So there is really no action. He basically just says, "Do off me," where Jay's girlfriend comes in and says, "Don't worry, I'll take care of this," and does it herself. And then we have about like 14 pages just of conclusion, which just drug on for again, like I said, this issue 15 ended with a whimper. Issue 1 begins with, a good, compelling fight, even though we're not sure what they're fighting for. It's at least compelling and interesting, again, with the sleeper agents and whatnot. And then you have, I guess, the repercussions, but I don't know. I'm glad that it's done. I wish I could say a little bit more positive things. I go into every single one of these comics looking to be optimistic and looking for to be hopeful because I think entertainment, especially for myself, especially for escapism, I needs to have hope. And that's why I read the ones that I do, is because I want to have hope. I want to be entertained. I want to escape and I want to enjoy them. It's just the writing generally is the thing that is the downfall. Sometimes it's the art, but it is also the writing, and I think the writing right here is very weak. What are your thoughts about John Ridley's run as Black Panther? Comment down below. See the previous videos that I have done on this run. Maybe I should make a playlist or something like that. Who knows? But yeah, thanks again for watching. Again, comment, like, subscribe, whatever. Thank you. And until then, I will see you in the dollar bins looking for Captain Marvel things to review. All right. Thanks again.